The Chinese and Japanese Coast Guard had an exchange near the territorial waters of the Senkaku Islands in the East China Sea. Friday's face-off came after the leaders of the United States, Japan and the Philippines held talks at the White House on Thursday to reduce Beijing's pressure on Manila and Japan in South and East China Seas. This report provides in this context.
As if taking an affront to the Trilateral summit between US, Japan and the Philippines that took place on Thursday. Chinese Coast Guard said on Friday that they had patrolled the territorial waters of Diaoyu Islands. These are the same disputed islands that Japan controls and calls the Senkaku Islands in the East China Sea.
I would like to stress the following points. First, China has indisputable sovereignty over the islands in the South China Sea, including Renai Reef and their adjacent waters, and China also has indisputable sovereignty over the Diaoyu Islands and their affiliated islands. China's actions in the East and South China Seas are reasonable, lawful, and irreproachable in accordance with international law. Secondly, there has never been any problem with freedom of navigation and overflight in the South China Sea.
Japan Coast Guard said in a separate statement that its patrol boats had asked 4 Chinese Coast Guard vessels to leave Japanese territorial waters. The Japanese said it was the 10th such instance by Chinese vessels this year. At a White House reception for Prime Minister Kishida earlier this week, US President Joe Biden had stated categorically the extent of the US commitment to Japan, mentioning Senkaku by name.
And through it all, our commitment to the defense of Japan under Article 5, including the Senkaku Islands, is unwavering.
The leaders of the United States, Japan and the Philippines held a summit at the White House on Thursday aimed at restricting Japan's stepped-up pressure on Manila in the disputed South China Sea.
It is a partnership born not out of convenience nor of expediency, but as a natural progression of a deepening relation and robust cooperation amongst our 3 countries.
China's increasing pressure in the South China Sea has escalated despite appeals by US President Biden to Chinese President Xi Jinping last year. Japan highlighted the shared values that the 3 democratic countries share.
Japan, the US, and the Philippines are maritime nations connected by the Pacific Ocean and are natural partners. We share fundamental values and principles and have supported regional economic development.
The Philippines and China had several maritime run-ins last month, including the use of water cannons and heated verbal exchanges. The dispute centers on the Second Thomas Shoal, home to some Filipino troops stationed there on a warship that Manila grounded in 1999 to reinforce its sovereignty claims. China claims almost the entire South China Sea, including the maritime economic zones of its neighbors. Let's understand the Senkaku Island dispute. In 1885, Japan confirmed Senkaku Islands uninhabited and unclaimed. In 1895, Senkaku Islands made part of Okinawa Prefecture. In 1920, China recognizes Senkaku Islands as part of Okinawa. In 1951, San Francisco Peace Treaty ensures Senkaku is part of Japan and the US exercises administrative rights over the islands. In 1969, a UN report indicates potential oil reserves in East China Sea. 1971, Taiwan and China officially assert territorial sovereignty. In 1992, China claims islands are in contiguous zone. In 2008, Chinese SOA that speed of advanced ships intrude into the territorial waters of Senkaku Islands. In 2010, Chinese fishing vessel collides with a Japan Coast Guard vessel. In 2012, more Chinese SOA intrusions into territorial waters. In 2013, China establishes East China Sea Air Defense Identification Zone. In 2016, Chinese naval ships enter Senkaku Islands for the first time. In 2021, China enacts Coast Guard law inconsistent with international law. In 2023, 16 Chinese vessels tracked within territorial waters in 11 months. Despite China's claim, a 2016 ruling by the Permanent Court of Arbitration found that Beijing's claims have no legal basis. Bureau Report, DD India.